Veggie,
Chris!
I challenge you to a brew battle.
I accept.
In a brew battle, I challenge another creator to build a deck based on a random challenge, whether that be a bracket level, a budget level, or some kind of secret ingredient. And we leave it up to you to choose who the winner is. We want you to rank our decks and tell us who won in choice of commander, in power level, in fun level, in originality, and in use of the stipulation. So let us know in those comments which of us did it best. Alright, let's spin the wheel to see what kind of modifier we've got for today's challenge. Oh, and it looks like we've got a secret ingredient.
Okay, how does that work?
So I head over to Scryfall and I pull a random card, and we've got to build around it. It's got to be our hidden commander or secret ingredient in today's brew. And our secret ingredient is Grinding Station.
Ooh, totally normal, fair card.
Yeah, absolutely nothing broken we can do with this, right?
Nope, not a thing.
Okay, well, let's get to brewing and then we can talk about our decks. And before we get started, if you've got any suggestions for a challenge to go on the wheel, drop it in the comments right now. I read all of them. Okay, so Veggie, you've come back with a 5-color deck here. Let's talk about the concept of your brew.
Yeah, I think I may have misheard you originally. I thought you said guide light station. So I've built the infinite guideline station because I plan to be grinding station.
Oh, okay. I can see how you would interpret it that way. Very interesting. I do see that you named the deck. I thought you said Guidelight Station as well. All right, maybe I should have been more clear on that one. But you are using Grinding Station in this deck.
Oh yes, it is for sure the secret ingredient. I'll admit that I went top-down design for this because I thought of the joke first, and then I was like, okay, so how do I build that tech then?
Classic. I would expect nothing less from you on this one.
The guideline station does already have some synergy with grinding station because it produces a lot of artifact robot bodies that come in all at the same time. And if you have grinding station out, then that's a bunch of triggers all at once. And at the very least, you can sacrifice those robots that you made to be able to mill an opponent or maybe mill yourself.
Yeah, I think that that's very interesting. I kind of thought along the same lines as well. Whenever any artifact enters the battlefield, Grinding Station untaps, whether it's yours or your opponent's. So I kind of thought along those lines, and I went with a deck that, well, if your opponent isn't running artifacts, you kind of force them to run artifacts, because my commander is Ygritte, Eater of All, who turns all creatures into artifacts.
Ooh.
So now you're getting untaps from Grinding Station whenever any creature enters the battlefield.
That's very sneaky.
Yes, and I called my deck Salt Grinder. We'll take a look at when we look at the power level, but there's a reason why I can make people salty. So overall concept for your deck is play multicolored spells, play Guideline Station, untap Grinding Station a lot?
That was the baseline for it, but I wanted to take a different interpretation of a deck that is built around a particular card in the 99, because that's often, your secret commander, either you have to like tutor for it right away, and like it is the engine piece to what you've done. It is essentially your commander, but a little trickier because you have to get it as opposed to having it from the command zone. But I didn't want to do that kind of build. I wanted Grinding Station to feel good whenever you got it. There's still a couple tutors in here so that you can find it if you're not getting to it, but I felt with the way things are going, you should be able to get to it, and you should feel good about it playing it on turn 2 or playing it on turn 10.
Yeah, I see that, and I also see that you've got some things in here that play into that heavy artifact theme or lots of artifact theme, whether you've got Grinding Station out or not, which is a great way to take this. With artifacts like Cranial Ram in here as well, even if you just get a bunch of artifact robots, you can make use of them with or without the station.
Exactly. Because I think this similar to like other cooking shows, I say other because this is of course one as well, The secret ingredient is not always the dominant flavor. It's sometimes a little extra spice in the background. And so I did want this to also be able to totally function, even if you never see the grinding station, or sometimes you play it and players immediately remove it.
Yeah, and that's one of the big things about playing with a hidden commander. If you lose it, your deck still needs to function. My deck is still an aristocrat deck even without the grinding station. Even without your commander in play, it still functions. And I think that that's very important when you're looking at this kind of build that has something in the 99 that you really want to function better.
Oh yeah.
And I can see how you've got some choices in here that are going specifically after grinding station. I can also see that even if you aren't tutoring for it, you've got a lot of card draw in the deck. I think that that's one of the benefits of going 5-color.
Yeah, you do get to just play some good cards that can prop the deck up. But I mean, artifacts, like as an archetype, are very good at drawing cards anyway. But I really liked, especially like Jackdaw in here, since it's drawing a card for every artifact that you control. That's very helpful, and even pitching your hand does play into a couple ways that this deck can try and end the game.
But you've also got Alibou in here as well, so you can just fire that laser off late game as well. I really like this. A lot of artifact synergies in here.
Not the most uncommon archetype, but I wanted to try to do something a little bit more unique with it, especially with the grinding station angle.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I took that kind of thing with my deck here as well. I went with something aristocrat flavored, but shifted it more towards black and green looking at artifacts, while still looking at the token angles that you typically see out of black and green. I didn't go with 5 colors, so I'm a little bit more limited here, but I did include, as my game changers in this bracket 3 deck, a couple of tutors that let you go get your grinding station.
Well, you say that, but what I see is one tutor that can find a grinding station and one tutor that cannot find a grinding station.
Oh no, see, there's a reason why I've got a vampiric tutor and a worldly tutor in here, and that is because grinding station combos infinitely with a few creatures, which is really what I wanted to do. And one of the reasons why I called this Salt Grinder is that you've got some infinite combos in here that involve Yigra, involve grinding station, and maybe one other creature to just pop off and mill the table.
Right, I guess because as long as you are creating any sort of like creature token, then that is also creating or that is therefore a food and triggering your grinding station. So if you like a sacrifice trigger that allows you to make something like that, all right, I see where you're going with this.
In particular here, Yigra, along with grinding station and either Carmela, the Seed Miser, or Experimental Confectioner goes infinite, because both of these say when you sacrifice a food, create a creature token. That creature token also becomes a food, untaps your grinding station, and you can sacrifice it to the grinding station, making another creature that is also a food ad nauseum.
Oh, I don't see that in your list here.
Metaphorically as ad nauseum, thank you very much.
I was very, I'll say myself, tempted to go the infinite combo route. Like that's what grinding station like wants at its heart, right?
The grinding station as a piece is included in lists to do this kind of thing, to be the infinite combo piece that gets you both sacrifice outlet and win con all on one card. I think that's really the strength of a grinding station, all on a 2-mana artifact.
Something within me wanted to use it in a way that is still very broken, but not infinite. Just because, you know, it gets put in a little box, and then that box gets ground up. I felt this grinding station deserved a moment of non-deterministic win condition.
I agree with you. I think that there are some things that you can do on the value play. Is there anything in your deck that wants to use it as a self-mill engine, for instance?
Oh, absolutely. There is a Wake the Past as one of the 2 sorceries in the entire deck, which returns all artifacts from graveyard to battlefield, and they gain haste. So since that is almost the entire deck, it is a viable strategy to make a bunch of tokens or just play other artifacts, sacrifice all of them to mill yourself, and then just dump that right back onto the board.
And that makes a ton of sense. I really wish that I had built something in my deck that made more use of that. I like putting things in the graveyard, not necessarily taking them out of the graveyard. Putting them in the graveyard and a self-mill route is very fragile as well. Heaven forbid your Wake the Past gets countered.
That is true. So I included some other smaller synergies that also work out if, let's say, that situation happens, or you just get the grinding station early on in the game and you can use it for little bits of value, like being able to cast artifacts from your graveyard with Silas Wren, returning, there's an Interceptor Mechan to return artifacts from graveyard to hand, and even I thought this was particularly cute. The Swarm Weaver, which is itself a multicolor artifact, creates 2 multicolor tokens that the Guideline Station will see, and then you can turn on Delirium using Grinding Station.
You know, that is a very sexy synergy right now. I've gotta say, like, that is something that, if that works, is you'd love to see that kind of thing.
Now, I haven't revealed the play that makes me the happiest in this deck.
Oh, I haven't seen your final form yet. Is that it?
That's right. I wanted to really grind station. We have the commander, which can station. We have a couple other spacecraft in the deck, like Inspirit and Uther's Research Craft, which just work with the deck anyway. But my dream for the deck, you build up a bunch of counters on one of these things. You station. You drop your grinding station, you grind the station, and then you use something like the Ozolith or Resourceful Defense to move those charge counters to something like Darksteel Reactor to win the game, to something like the Eternity Elevator to make a ton of mana, instantly turn on the Dawnsire, or maybe you just play a 5-hour game by putting them all onto Eternity Vessel and resetting your life to 100 something every turn.
Yeah, I did see that you have Moxite Refinery in here as well to move around some of those charge counters too. I gotta say, that's a good play as well.
I do like a big flashy play, especially if it is super suboptimal.
At 6 mana or 6+ mana, in order to get all of that together, how realistic is that? Do you have much ramp in here? I see a Birds of Paradise and a Deathrite Shaman, but is that about it?
It is pretty ramp light, yeah, because I wanted to lean more heavily into the theme, and that meant that every colorless rock is one less robot you were making off of the Guideline Station. And so I wanted my ramp to also be multicolored or lean in more to the theme somehow. So yeah, there's the birds, Deathrite Shaman, Wild Cantor, if you can count that. And then even like some other dorks, but only if they fit. So I counted like Lotho. Root Coil Creeper is actually the only 2-mana multicolored creature that can produce mana of any color. So
right.
That had to be the one there. Then some of the other ones, like Spire Manifestation, actually overperformed for me in a lot of lists because it untaps to pretty much any spell. And then Wandertail Mentor got a slot because it gets larger and then is good for stationing later in the game.
How easy is it to hit 5 colors with Guideline?
As far as my playtesting goes, I never, not a single playtest, had trouble casting Guideline Station when I wanted to, but it does mean that you have to be incredibly particular when you are cracking your fetches to figure out what are the appropriate lands to bring out.
Yeah, the number of times I've facepalmed when I've brought out the wrong duel to a fetch land, I'm sure we've all been in that scenario.
Oh yeah, and I mean your list does get definitely the advantage there. You know it. 2 colors, you can just focus on the fun parts of it as opposed to, oh no, Steam Vents or Blood Crypt.
Agonizing over that decision. Yeah, being in black and green, I'm able to include a lot of ramp in my list. You are dealing with a 5-mana commander, just like you're dealing with a 5-color commander here, so you do want to make sure that you're ramping pretty high. I also have included a much higher end of my curve, too, with a lot of 7 drops in my list. Avenger of Zendikar, because you're making a lot of tokens all at once for all of those sweet, sweet untaps on your grinding station. Displaced Dinosaurs can turn a lot of your other historic permanents into nice big dinosaurs, and also combos with some of the other cards in the list. And of course, one of the best ones for grinding station is Old Gnawbone, because you're just going to make a whack of treasure tokens once you get one attack off with Gnawbone on the battlefield. And that's going to probably give you enough grinding station untaps and fodder to mill out a player all at once.
I mean, how do you make the decision on, this could just lean more towards assemble combo, win game. I feel like some of these bigger things, even though synergistic, kind of water down that plan, right?
The big benefit here is that Yigra becomes a massive attacker. Your commander ends up being a win con here a lot of the time too. Because Yigra gets bigger whenever a food is sacrificed, whether it be yours or your opponent, meaning all creatures in play with Yigra, Yigra can become just a big attacker. And with things that destroy all artifacts, like a Fade from History that I have in the list, you can just play that, destroy all artifacts and enchantments in play, and then attack for a commander damage victory with Yigra. There are some fallback plans here. They might require you sacrificing your own stuff, but in the end, you're going to have a massive commander one way or another. Everyone's going to have to be sacrificing creatures, food, whatever it might be.
If anything, you've further convinced me that I don't need these big top-end creatures, that I have one in the command zone, and if I'm just going to end up with it, and then, I don't know that I need these other creatures that I'm playing for, 6, 7, 8 mana.
See, the big thing is really making the tokens with them. There are a lot of synergies in the deck around tokens too, and these 7 mana, 6 mana creatures that are making this many tokens, whether it be Avenger of Zendikar or Old Gnawbone, work really well with a Nadir's Nightblade, or work really well with a Mirkwood Bats as well. You make so many tokens in this deck from all sorts of creatures entering the battlefield, or treasures entering the battlefield, or food entering the battlefield. There are a lot of synergistic lines. Not all of them require grinding station, and not all of them require your commander, so there's a lot of ways the deck can win, a lot of angles that it approaches at, even if it's not a straight line victory. Your easiest way to victory, your laziest way to victory, absolutely a combo, but is it your only way to victory? Absolutely not.
I do have some top end on my deck as well. Like Brutaclad, of course. You have likely produced a large number of robot tokens, and then being able to turn those into whatever else, even if it's a slight upgrade into 4/4 golems. Maybe it is you're turning them all into flyers from the Swarm Weaver, or you're getting a little weirder with it with some other choices here, but that's also a big single impactful card that can win you games. Like the fact that each time that I play tested this, it did play out a pretty drastically different way each time, especially depending on what your early plays were.
And that's definitely playing into the fun factor of a deck like this. Does it play the same way every time, or does it play differently? How impactful in playtesting of this were some of those lines? Can you give us any examples?
I hope that this also gives some more weight to dropping mana rocks, which is a thing that I have started to lean into more in favor of curving out. So I, for instance, had a goldfish where I had Mendicant Core early. Also thematic. Nice. Guideline Station. This is where he lives, maybe. So that meant that I had a very large powered creature to be able to station very quickly. it's hard for me to be able to assume that I would also be able to get to max speed, so I didn't even touch that aspect of it, but it meant that I was able to get charge counters going very quickly, and enact the counters plan much faster. But on the other hand, a playthrough that just went, like Deathrite Shaman, 2-mana Dork, means that on turn 3, I've got 5 mana. Because we've got a fetch in the yards for the Deathrite Shaman. We're casting Infinite Guideline Station on turn 3 and still creating 3 bodies. We then can go kind of aggressive, use just play out all of our resources, use the Guideline Station to refill our hand, and then just try to win via like quick value. And so that to me was very different. I loved one playthrough that had Ashad the Lone Cyberman early, because that meant that I could now casualty all of my stuff because the robots are 2 power. It did make me very happy getting to put together my own puzzle each time of what can this deck do.
That's fantastic. I love a deck that's different on each playthrough. While you might have something that you can shoot for, it's really what comes up organically in the list. Do you want to shoot for Victory Path A, Victory Path B, Victory Path C? I like a deck that plays differently each time. My deck is a little bit more straightforward than that, but I think it's because it is narrower, both from a color standpoint and an intent standpoint here. You, in the end, want to be an aristocrat deck no matter what, whether you're winning with the pinging from aristocrats, whether you're winning from a big mill off of grinding station, or whether you're doing something like milling yourself and then dropping a tombstone stairwell to overwhelm everybody with the zombie tokens. There are a lot of plays here, and there are a lot of things that can be done differently. It just depends on what comes up in your play.
I have to give you some credit. The Tombstone Stairwell was my favorite include in your list.
If you're looking at making a lot of tokens at once, Tombstone Stairwell does the job.
Right. This just came up in like something that I was talking about, but it's just such a fascinating card and such a unique ability to create tokens for your opponents on each of their turns and then have those all go away. Which is just like pretty brilliant for Ygritte in general, and then this strategy as a whole.
Yeah, I think that it is one of those cards that I wouldn't say is underrated, because it is an over $40 card at this point, but is one that a lot of people don't look at for strategies like this, whether it be zombie strategies, because it does make zombie tokens, whether it is a large volume of tokens strategy. A lot of people overlook it because it does make your opponent's tokens too. You can just break that symmetry very, very easily. Lastly, before we wrap up and we let the audience decide who is the winner of this brew battle, were there any cards that just did not make the cut in your list?
There were. You can actually see there are a couple cards in the sideboard that I thought were notable that did not make it in simply from personal preference. You'll notice that my list, even though we went with like a bracket 3 build, is not running any game changers. It certainly could. And I think the most effective ones here would be Underworld Breach. That is a card that famously goes pretty well with Grinding Station.
Yes, it absolutely does.
And even if that is just being used as a value breach, that does allow you to cast a whole lot of things, fill up your board, and is a great way to rebuild if your playing gets shaken up. The other one that I thought was pretty appropriate here would be Thassa's Oracle. I've heard that card is pretty good at winning the game, and I do believe that this deck is capable of making enough tokens to use Grinding Station to mill yourself out, especially if you are like playing the Guideline Station and sacrificing the station itself to put it back into the command zone. The main reason I didn't include Thassa's Oracle was then I could not have Gigantha in the companion.
I think you also would have lost the audience's vote on this one if Thassa's Oracle had made the 99.
A lot of these cuts were, for the most part, because in my heart, I just wanted this deck to be like a new adventure each time that you played it, to figure out how you were putting together a win, even though you have a lot of options. I wanted someone playing this, even if it's me, to be finding new things about it, and all of those lean towards very specific ways to win.
Veggie, thank you for joining me in this brew battle. Why don't you let everybody know where they can find you?
You can always find me on the internet. That is where I live. I am. You can find my videos, however, on the Decked Out EDH channel. I do shorts pretty much every single day, period, about new cards or old cards you haven't heard about, or weird things that are happening, or rules that are very complicated. And then also, of course, the Decked Out gameplay show, which is making new decks nearly every episode. That is one of the things that I think is the best about our show, is that each time you are getting 4 fresh decks. The number of repeats on the show, I want to say, is less than 10 over 130 some episodes.
Wow. Absolutely incredible. Thank you again for joining us in this brew battle, Veggie. We'll let the audience decide who the winner is. Okay, folks, you let us know in the comments who brewed it better, who made the more powerful deck, who made the more fun deck, and who made better use of today's secret ingredient. Let us know in the comments. And before you go, be sure to check out these sponsors. Card Conduit. They are hands down the easiest way to sell your individual Magic cards without the hassle of traditional buy listing. They'll get you top dollar while handling all of the heavy lifting, from sorting to grading to optimizing your price across a huge network of vendors. And they'll give you cold hard cash for it. You can use the promo code MECHANIC right now for 10% off of all fees. And if you want to pick up the cards for this list, make sure to go check out Card Trader. Use my promo code MECHANIC right now for 5% off your order from any TCG. Card Trader's zero system means you can get cards from all over the world with only one shipping fee. Save money and time today. Lastly, you can check out all of my decks on MOXFIELD. MOXFIELD is the best deck building platform in the world and makes it easy to build decks and search for specific cards with their powerful tools. Have you checked out their drag and drop feature yet? It's revolutionary. Be sure to check out my brews and follow my profile there right now. If you were inspired to brew today, you have to hit that subscribe button. Check out this other deck on my channel right now for more sweet tech. And as always, folks, good luck and have fun.